Here on the Tommy Habeeb podcast, we celebrate big ideas, bold moves, and unforgettable moments. So when it's time to celebrate in real life, I go where Brazilian culinary traditions meet bold Texas flavors at Texas de Brazil. For sizzling skewers of perfectly grilled meats to over 50 gourmet selections at the salad area. It's a dining experience that's unforgettable. Whether it's date night or a large group, Texas de Brazil is the perfect place to celebrate life's milestones in style. Celebrate big, eat well, and tell them Tommy sent you. Tony, it's just such a pleasure to get you in the studio. I've been trying to get you in here forever.
We did it, didn't we?
We finally did it. It's amazing. And I can't wait to talk to you guys about what we're going to do today. And I've worked so hard to get our guest in the studio because he's just magic. And so many of you come to me and ask me questions about business, right? How do I start this company? Am I doing the right thing? And so I thought it was so important that we get Tony Jeary in the studio because this guy, he's the ultimate consultant. They call him the results guy because he actually gets results. And what the magic here and the beauty of having Tony here is he consults with some of the biggest CEOs on the planet. I mean, American Airlines, Walmart. How many?
New York Life, Sam's, Mr. Kim from Samsung. I've been very blessed.
I mean, it's
the big
unbelievable, the names of these CEOs that he consults with. And we're going to bring it all down right here in the studio today to talk about the magic that you give these guys. So let's welcome Tony Jeary.
Thanks, mate.
To the studio.
So happy to be here, man.
Oh, it means
We've been wanting to do it for a while, haven't we?
Yes. We've had some amazing CEOs in that chair talking about their journeys, but you're the guy that helps people get there. And as a CEO, it's a lonely place, and because there's nobody to talk to.
It's interesting. It's a CEO level. And again, you kind of got, we work mainly now with entrepreneurs, but when you take and you go up to the top,
yes,
you got the CEO and you think about it, up above them is the board. The board then is reporting to the shareholders.
Yes.
And you got activists and you got the people that are happy with you and you're managing all that. Then you got the side people, which is all your C-level. And then you got all the people in your team. And then you got the public, right? You just got like lots of people. Then everything you're saying, everything you're doing is touching a lot of stakeholders.
And it can go bad fast.
Oh my goodness. It's you got to manage your brand. You got to manage what you say. You got to manage every day. A lot of pressure. And at the top, sometimes it's like you can't always talk to your board about everything's on your mind. And then if you're married, you got your spouse, you got your kids. What do you say, not say? You got to be careful what you say. You got confidentiality. You got all the rules with, if you're public. I mean, a lot of angles.
It's a lot of angles. It's very scary. Do you ever feel that pressure when you have, the president, CEO of Walmart or American Airlines?
Not really, Tommy. Now, obviously, like you, I've been doing this for a lot of years. And what I've done now is I've invested so much in building an arsenal of tools that almost anybody that comes to my life, I can pull from those tools from our results center, and I can hand things to people that they haven't even thought about. And so I can kind of be ahead of the game with that tool chest. In fact, 35 years ago, Tommy, I was a tier 2 supplier for 8 major agencies: Bozell, Omnicom, Imagination out of London.
Now, what does that mean?
That means that a tier 2 supplier, a company like Chrysler,
okay,
would give a multi-million-dollar project to like Ross-Roy Communications. And they'd say, we want to roll out the Ram pickup. And then they would come to my company and say, organize all that and go execute it. And so I was a tier 2 supplier behind the scenes, and I did that for 8 agencies.
Wow.
And what I saw, Tommy, is those agencies weren't as disciplined as they could be to save all the best practices. So imagine my company, all over the world, sees all these projects, and we said 30 years from now, if I saved all those best practices, I would be in a magical position. So I built an entire building to house all that. And so now I don't get nervous at all because I got so much arsenal to bring to the table beyond their practice and a million books I've written. And so it's a blessing that I've had that discipline to build that. And so when people fly in, it's like, oh, have you seen this idea? Ah, brilliant. Now, sometimes 12 years ago when I did something, that no longer works, but sometimes it does.
So things probably come around.
I do.
They cycle.
That's right. You know, baby, you've seen it.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
You know what's fascinating, Tony, is that what you did was so genius because how many books have you read?
I've written 109.
109 books. You've documented about everything you could document. You know the problem I have that upsets me so damn much?
What's that?
Is because I do these things and then I forget about them. And I should have been documenting, I should have been writing these stories about all these little places I've been throughout the entertainment industry and our businesses, and I could have better results. But now I got to come to you.
How about this one? So about 6 months ago, a guy named Glenn came to me, and he said something similar to what you just said. You got all these beautiful tools and all this best practices. What if I dumped all that in an AI and I made a Tony Jeary twin?
Wow.
So I now have a Tony Jeary twin that has thousands of articles, hundreds of books, like years of best practices. And so now I can have the AI twin outthink me.
That's
so imagine
incredible.
being able to whip things out, you know,
Oh, yeah.
35
You
years.
actually have the avatar that you come up on this screen. Now, see, there's something wrong with that, dadgummit.
No, but I'm
You
thinking with
figured it
all the
out.
filming you've done,
We
that
can
we
make
could
it
do the same
happen.
thing.
Yes.
AI could go in and grab all that and
Oh,
build
my
it.
God.
And you could be like a Tommy.
genius.
Yeah, you'd be like a hologram here.
Well, all the stuff.
Matter of fact, you're probably not even real. It's probably a hologram.
Yeah, no, I'm not real. I'm AI. You know what? I was just at, you just had a huge milestone. We're going to get back into some of the business stuff, but this is exciting stuff because you just hit a huge milestone. 30 years, is that what it is?
30.
with the results
Well,
center?
30 years of publishing. I've been doing this, what I do, helping other people get results for 42 years. Started out with Don Hall in 1982, Hallmark Cards. Yeah, we had that. And that party, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, it doesn't get any more impressive than a coffee table book, right?
That's 30 years, baby.
Of all your...
We picked 50 of my best
Walmart,
books.
First one I opened up.
Yeah, look at that. So they gave me, look at that tag. See that tag there? They gave me an honorary tag to walk in any building.
You're
A Walmart tag. How about that? Isn't that cool?
Gosh. Well, we're working on doing something with our supplements, dog supplements for Walmart.
Okay.
So it could be very exciting.
Tell me about that.
Well, so we just launched a pet supplement line. You know, we have To the Rescue, our dog show, and it's just a
You
big
love dogs, don't you, buddy?
passion, a mission, and so it only made sense. You know, we have millions of fans around the world that watch our show, and they call and write. Actually, they don't call; they write a lot and go, "What do you think? You know, what do I do? My dog's having this problem or that problem," and now we formulated the best formulas for some supplements. You know, multivitamins. We have hip and joint calming, and
Smart.
because dogs go through all
Smart.
this issues, just like humans. We suffer with a lot of different ailments and things and we don't take all our vitamins. We talked about that. How many do you take a day?
20 or 25.
I
And
rest
I'm
my
injecting
case.
everything and topical everything.
You are
I just
not.
believe you can chemically manage, just like you do with a dog or a human.
Yeah.
You take your blood work and you supplement accordingly, right?
You protect yourself. Yes.
Yes.
And as long as you're you're an extremist, so you take things to the top level, right? So we can't ask everybody to get injections and check their blood every 90 days, and but it would be good if we could. But that's kind of how that's your makeup. That's part of who you are. Is to
I woke up, Tommy, when I was 50, and I looked at myself in the mirror, and I said, I really have had a lot of success with my family, with my business colleagues, my partnerships, and I'd failed in my health. And so I said, I really don't know how the body works. And I said, as an extremist, I need to figure that out. I didn't even know what a hormone was. I thought if something happened to a lady when they turned 50.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, they got hormone
There's
imbalance.
that too.
Well, of course.
Yes.
But I didn't realize that hormones are the messengers of your body. And being able to have your hormones start declining at about 30, science is showing, 1 to 3% a year. That's why you get heavier, because your metabolism changed. And your hormones tell your body when to sleep and when to eat. Like Grenland tells you, like if you're hungry or not. Leptin says, hey, I'm hungry, I'm full. And so if you know how to manage and manipulate, if you will, the hormones of your body, you can really have a biological age younger than a chronological age. And if you want results, then you got to have results in health and results in your marriage and results in your family and results in, like this place here is so cool, man.
Well,
do people get to come here a
it's
lot?
fun.
Like I walked in, right? Did I not? Like I walked in, I'm like, whoa, it's like.
But we got to get you in here more.
Yeah, this is
Are
cool.
you kidding me? And I got, here's the thing, Tony, is you do all this stuff for businesses and other
That's my main
people.
thing.
Are you doing anything to talk about health? Because you seem to
I've
have
written
your
4 books on health.
Oh, hell, I'm behind.
My last one is called Wealth for Health, How You Trade Your Wealth for Health. So a lot of people that I work with basically my whole deal is I help winners win more. So generally people come to me when they're already winning and they have a hunger to go more. And so that's when you're already winning, I can really help you win more. And a lot of people that come to me, they're already winning, maybe aren't winning in their health. So I wrote a book with Dr. Pat Doe, and he had the same thing I did. He woke up at about 50 and said, wow, I'm not getting the results I want. He went through a transformational change like myself, and we wrote a book to help people really have better results with their health. Now, I don't push that, but what happens is when people come into my life to grow their businesses, I look and go, how can I add some more value to the results they want in their life? And who doesn't want better health, right?
No, truly. And so many people think that they have to put that on the wayside while they focus full time on driving.
You're so right.
They drive it home, and they're missing half the battle here.
And they wake up and they're not going to live past 70.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
So I'm so excited that you're doing that. What about the young guy? What about that young entrepreneur? Because we hadn't talked a lot about that. You talked so much about all these, the instructions and the counseling of some big CEOs around the planet. But what about that young guy? What do you tell them, that young guy that wants to start a business?
So one of my favorite books that I've written of the 109 is called Advice Matters. And what we say in that book, you should take advice from people that have done what you've done and or are doing what you want to do. In the book, we talk about 6 ways you can really take advice to win. The first one is mentors. And I say, do you have a mentor? And most people say, maybe. And I go, what about having multiple mentors? And they're like, so all those that are listening right now, think about this. How many mentors? I have about 15. So I have mentors in my health, I have mentors in my business, I have mentors in my marriage, mentors in parenting. So I think one is we should expand our thinking as an entrepreneur. How do you have mentors? Then number 2 is I talk about a paid mentor is called a coach. That's my definition. And you want to have a coach that aligns with your values and a coach that has tools and connections. The third thing is trusted colleagues. Can you connect around people like you and I, right, sharing ideas as trusted colleagues? The fourth thing is a paid advisor. I'm sure you probably have an accountant or a CPA that helps you, like most people, because you don't study the IRS code every morning.
That's right.
4 million words in the IRS code. You don't get them. Oh my gosh, read the IRS code this morning.
I got to study more.
And the next one is resources. And so you can read someone's book or listen to their podcast. You can listen to someone's video and you can gain insights. And then you can't see your own self, but you can see your patterns. So the 6th item is to see your patterns. And if your patterns are working, you want to keep doing them. And if your patterns aren't, you got to change some things. So those 6 things is what I pour into everybody. Advice really does matter.
So those guys that have these egos, they can't hardly get to the door, that are, they think they've got it all, but they're tripping, and they're having their problems, and they're having problems at home and or at work, and it's creating more problems. They're feeling overwhelmed. It's okay. It's okay.
Life. I believe God didn't make life perfect, and things go up and down. The market changes. Different things happen.
And so it's okay to call somebody.
Oh my gosh, it's more than okay, Tommy.
Mentors.
How many people are blinded by that? It's a blind spot. If you don't have I've had the same coach for 38 years.
Yeah.
Do you know anybody in your world that's had the same person coaching them for 38 years?
No, and so it's so important that people hear that and understand you're a coach, but you have a coach.
For 38 years, I've been paying this guy every month.
If that doesn't tell you something, you've got to, I don't care who you are, you've got to get help. It's so important, so vital.
You're going to make better decisions because you miss stuff.
You messed up.
When I walk in your place here and I'm like, golly, all the filming, all the cool things you've done, just being able to, like I said, I want to be able to do better videos. So I was sitting there thinking my team needs to be here today to be able to just pick up on all your distinctions, how you stage things and organize things, all those years, right?
Oh, yeah.
How many hours of filming have you done?
Oh, my gosh.
It would be
thousands and thousands.
Tens of thousands, right?
Yeah.
Right?
And we're talking broadcast television. That's a lot.
Like a lot, right?
That's a lot.
And all the things.
1 hour on, much less thousands.
Like you can look at scripts, you can look at setup, you can walk in places and just see things. Well, guess what? When you're doing a win in business, find people that have already figured out the distinctions out, you know?
That's right. And what I found so important, right, is stay in your lane, do what you do best. You know, you met Scott here just a while ago, and Clark's running around here, and these guys have been with me for over 20 years.
Well.
And they help me be better, right? Because I can say, oh, yeah, we can make anything. Forget it. You know, I know what I know, and I couldn't do what I do best if I didn't have
the right team.
This wonderful.
Well, that's
team
another thing we
around
should
us.
tell everybody. How good's your team? You know, my average tenure is 18 years. Same thing.
Yeah.
Like when you got the right team around you, it just matters. Like they're seeing things you don't see. It's like doubling the brain power, tripling the brain power, you know?
Right. Because you got to do what you do best, right? You
Yeah, in
gotta
fact,
be
I
the
got a book
results.
coming out called "Figure Out What You Like to Do and Do That More." That's not exactly the title, but it's pretty much it.
But it's good.
Figure out what you're good at and do it more.
So
right?
did I just give you that idea? Are you going to go copyright it? Do I get a little piece of that action on every
You know,
book
you'd have to
you
talk to
sell?
my co-author on that one, right? He's a guy. DL came up with that idea.
You're already working. Dad,
Yeah,
I thought
but
I
he
just
might get the
gave it
deal
to
because this
you.
guy's he's like you, man. He's like, make it fair, make it work, help other people win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just messing with you.
That's good.
But so you've done, I've written one book, and it was a multi-year project. Now, and I consulted with you. You're a guy that the wonderful thing is every time I've called you, you've spent time with me. You've talked me through things, and I appreciate that so much. But I knew what it was like to write a book. I didn't know what it was going to be like, but I do now. You've done 109 books. How in the hell?
Well, here's the thing.
you do that?
Here's the motivation. Books go where you can't go and stay longer than you can stay.
Yes.
So if you want to give a piece of yourself to somebody, I can come to you and I say, Tommy, I've invested 20 years of my life on these best practices, on 21 things, the whole clarity, focus, and execution, and here's my gift to you. So I might only have a few minutes with you, but I can give you a gift of my life in a book.
That'll last forever.
And a lot of people want to do that, but a lot of people don't get it done. In fact, our publishing company does exactly that. It takes someone's strengths and it helps them package it and put it together. In fact, we broke a record. How long ago was that? 6 weeks ago. I had a challenge. A guy called me, DL, matter of fact, the guy that came up with the cover idea on the Do What You Do Best. And he says, I want to do something special for my wife. Okay. And he's like, I've already done a lot of special things, but I got this idea. He goes, how fast can you do a book? And I'm like, well, he's like, it's like Thursday, her birthday's Sunday. I'm like, hang on just a second. You want me to do a book and you hadn't even started it in 3 days. Could you do that? I said, I could do it in 4. I delivered a book in print, to him in 4 days from scratch, concept to delivered book.
Oh,
like my team jammed 24 hours a day. Now my publisher is over in New Zealand, so we work 24 hours a day, and we delivered the book in 4 days.
That's crazy.
Now he had to be ready, and he had a lot of scripting, and so he had a lot of resources, or it wouldn't be feasible.
Yeah.
But just as a rare exception,
Wow.
if you want results faster, baby, come to the Results Center.
Oh my
Hey, by the
God.
way, what do you think about our party at the Results Center? Look at the top of that.
No, what I love.
Look at the other side.
You're cracking me up. You have more fun stuff. Look at this.
Like
little
you, look
thing.
all around here. You're Mr.
No.
Fun. Look at that. You got everything.
This is an exact replica of the Results Center.
Yeah, I saw that. I thought, you can buy one of those for like $7 and you can hand someone like a replica of your place, right? For $7. Let me show you. Watch
No,
this.
when I
Look
came
at this.
in there the first time,
Look at this.
You
So
just
you do
blew
this.
me away.
And so you mail it to them and then it pops up like that. Is that cool?
oh my God, that's very cool. So you know the magic, and do you do this? Because I've only experienced it just from when you brought me in, and all of a sudden there's guys all around this table, and stuff's just a popping, and you're asking me some questions, and you got so much action going on, and you're bringing up solutions and talking through things like lightning fast, and I'd never seen.
I think the world rewards speed, Tommy. I think people come to me and they have a vision and they want me to compress their vision to reality faster. So you got to have the team, the processes, the tools, the best practices, and all those things working for you.
So when I was at your event, I met a lot of people, and you were naming off 30, 40 people there, and you're doing their books. So is that a big?
It's bigger than.
Tell me about that. And should entrepreneurs, should they all have a book?
We think there's 4 kinds of publishing books. Number one's the traditional kind. And that's where you get an agent and this is a nonfiction. You get an agent and you write a proposal and the agent takes it to a house and sells them on doing your book. But generally, they're not going to do that unless you have a platform like you, where you got millions of people that love you, you've spent or invested so many years of your life. If you don't have a platform, that's probably not going to happen. The next one is a vanity press, and you can go get someone to print your book. And a lot of people will print your book, and they'll do it sometimes sloppy, sometimes not. And the third kind is called a hybrid, where you have certain publishers will do it where it's more of a work together. Mm-hmm. And so you have traditional, vanity, hybrid. And we have the fourth kind called strategic publishing. And we believe, to your question, that every book that is strategically done can impact an organization. So, for example, we took a public company and wrote a book around it called The Healthy Home. And we put it on the number 2 New York Times bestseller list. Wow. And that company's worth over $2 billion today. Wow. We got hundreds, millions of dollars worth of free publicity with that book.
Sure.
So when we help a person with a book, we have about 25 items in our menu that a book can do. We check off what those things would be, and then we build the book and the campaign around it to match those objectives. So then the book becomes very strategic, not just a book you read. Like the way you do the cover and the way you design the subtitle and the icons and the back, and when you open it up and the back matter and the front matter, there's 50 or so different pieces of real estate in a book, and people don't even see that. They just think manuscript and a nice cover, right?
Oh, yeah.
All those, just like with you, when you look in, like all the distinct, look at all the equipment, like everything. Like, what's it, $250,000 just to walk in here?
But nobody gets to see that. They just see
Yeah, well, I see it. It's like cool. Like everything is designed, and all those distinctions allows you to do your magic. Well, we call books tools, and a lot of times books can be a tool that people don't see.
So, that's fascinating because I kind of do the same thing as a consultant for companies. And by the time you make it to me, your company has to be having some problems once you find me. But like I'm working on one right now for the fire and safety industry. They're pipe fitters, right? Okay. And they came and they said, listen, we have a problem. We can't get enough kids to come into the business, right? And so everybody's being pushed to go to college. So I said, all right, well, let's look at what you're doing. And they're spending millions of dollars a year trying to cultivate high school kids to get into trades. Okay. And not doing a good job. There's too many people retiring, not enough kids coming in. The industry's shrinking, but they need more, right? They need more. And
let's don't get into politics. So let me just make a 30-second comment.
Yes.
I read today that Trump wants to pull some money away from Harvard and give it to trades. Now, whether that's true or not, I just read it. But interestingly, you're saying that.
Oh, no. And a lot of it's a trend, and people are really seeing the problem, and he sees the problem, and so we're trying to
with your voice.
The world's trying to
have your voice
build up.
Spread it out.
Yeah. Well, so what's happening is because I make content, right? So we built a whole campaign, and just one of the pieces of the campaign, like your book, we built a docu-series about they wanted kids.
Docu-series.
So
that's a new one.
We have
make a note of that one, a docu-series.
Yeah, we have 4 kids, and they're all right out of high school, getting into the trades, right? So you got to have kids talking to kids. I said, if you want to bring them into your business, they have to be talking to each other, right? So we built a whole media campaign around it.
Brilliant.
Podcasts and social media, but it'll be a game changer for the industry that they're going to spend half the money doing this plan that I'm showing them, and they're going to get 100 times the results but they couldn't see, right? It's hard to see.
But you can see, right?
What's right in front of you. Now you do the same thing with books.
When someone comes into our life and they talk about a book, we start off with this idea here, Tommy, and I have a 3-prong approach in this book. But what we start off with is right here, clarity, right? What clearly do you want? And generally speaking, so you know, or so our audience knows.
All right, so give me an idea.
So they come in and they say, I want to take my company and 3 times the value. And that's their vision. And I say, clearly, is that what you want? Is all the stakeholders want that? Who's all the stakeholders? And we get clear on that. Okay? And so I push them for clarity with the why. Then I look over and I go, what's the focus we're going to focus on?
So I like these cool little things.
And what I suggest is we take 5 to 7, what we call force multipliers, to focus on.
Okay.
And then we go out and we execute those 5 to 7. So clearly what you want, what's the 5 to 7 main things, and then you go out and execute and measure it. And that formula is just, it's just, wow.
Okay, so let's boil it down. Can we do this in 120 seconds?
We can.
With Tommy.
We can, okay.
So you need to know.
What does Tommy want?
Clearly.
So you're in your 60s, and I asked.
No, I'm in my 40s.
Well, I mean, chronologically. Biologically, you look like you're in the 40s. I got it. So you had this vision, let's say, and on a 1 to 10, how clear are you for the next 5 years?
I'm pretty clear on what I want.
Okay. 8, 9?
And probably at 8.
Okay. And then I would say, so what's
And I want to rescue dogs. I want to make sure that dogs are in everybody's lives. I've seen how dogs change our world. And if we understood that as human beings and we give them a little bit of what they give us.
It's powerful.
It's powerful because we take them for granted. You know, you had a pup. He passed away, and I'm sorry to hear that.
14 years.
Talk about that.
Yeah.
But when you came home, who met you at the door?
My doggy.
Your dog didn't care whether you had the results center, whether you're working with the CEO of Walmart. He didn't care if you were a bag man down on the street just trying to.
Sophie didn't care.
No. And you know how many homeless guys I've met with dogs, and those dogs cherished that guy, right? They don't care. All they care about is loving you. They want to make sure that if you're hurting, they're hurting.
So you want to take that voice, your voice, to the world in the next 5 years even stronger.
Yes.
And you've been doing that for years, right?
Well, we're trying to build that mission. And that's the one thing we're doing with our pet insurance company and everything. We want to make sure that if you're a family that can't afford a dog, we want to make sure that we're going to help you.
That's
keep
cool.
That dog. If you have kids, I want to make sure, and we've done the study, that because kids today, you know, the saddest part is suicide is an option, which I don't know when that happened, but it's an option. But in interviewing these kids, and so we worked on a show about the solutions to teen suicide. And I'm sorry to get off topic here for a second, but it's so important to talk about our
I know, clarity.
because I want people to get this in a short couple minutes. We found out when there was a pet in the house, it helped those kids get through their darkest hours. So I want to make sure that economics aren't a reason for these kids, right? I want to make sure that we can keep a pet in that house, and financially, if we can help them, right? So with our pet insurance, if we give policies away to make sure that if that dog has to go to the vet, it's not going to, you'll still be able to eat, right? We don't want you taking that dog to the shelter because you can't afford it. So we're going to make sure you have food.
So you are clear.
Health care. Yeah.
And you got these elements of focus.
Did I already get through
Well,
focus?
I'm just saying that one of the focus points for you is the insurance.
Yes.
One is the supplements.
Yes.
And we just suggest 5 to 7 things because you can have 10 or 20 if you narrow it down to, it doesn't have to be 5 to 7, but around that.
Yeah.
And you zero in on those things and you execute every day, chances are you're going to take the vision of being more impactful and make it more compressed.
So it's that simple. It's not simple, but.
Yeah, I think it is, Tommy. And you know where I came up with this idea? So you're familiar with Zig Ziglar.
Oh, yeah.
So Zig and I were partners for 20 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, very close. And his son-in-law was his president from 1990 to 96. And he hired me in 96 to help him get into businesses. So Zig's focus was people, and my focus was businesses. And so his son-in-law became my president and my coach for 18 years.
Wow.
And in 2006, he says, Tony, I think we need to interview people to find out why they're flying in from around the world, like the presidents of Walmart would fly into my backyard. Why would they fly in to help you guide them on the largest company in the world? And he said, after the interviews, because you help people with clarity, focus, and execution. And before he died, Tommy, he gave me a mission, which we want to talk about,
Yes.
to go out and take that to the world. So I help people get more clear in their personal life and their professional life, focus, and execute day in and day out.
All right. So, I mean, what you gave us was very powerful right now. And we just went through an exercise.
We did.
Right?
And you're already clear.
Yeah, no.
And you've probably got 5 or 7 things, or maybe you need to have 1 or 2 more. But
So can they do this at home?
well, you can read this book right here, and it gives you all the secrets.
There we go.
Especially if you have a coach to guide you through it.
Yes.
Now, we also believe this. Now, let me put a plug in. It's like you can have, like you come to my results center, and that's 35 years of best practices.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to have the ultimate how to do it, and you want to have the ultimate where to think. We call it a think tank because we designed it like this place is designed for you. I designed that so when people come there, they can think better.
All right. So what about the guy, because there's a lot of people, probably 95% of the people out there and young entrepreneurs and business guys or a sales guy trying to work up the ladder, whatever that is, he probably is not well capitalized. He's probably trying to figure out, he's moving his pennies around because he wants to grow.
That's right.
And no matter where we get in life, I got to tell you, I mean, I've been doing this for 45 years, and it just seems, okay, I had my goals, I reached them, and I'm going, well, how come I'm still counting pennies here? So how expensive is it, Tony? How does somebody get started with a coach? And you did talk about earlier, mentors and
well, I think that on the coach side,
how can they have Tony? What's it take to get Tony Jeary?
Generally, I prefer to work with people that have already skinned their knees a little bit and they've had some successes. Tommy, at my age, I love working with people that are hungry, even though they're successful, and I can learn from them.
Yeah.
Why did I want to come here today? Because I said, hey, I'm going to bring my team, and we're going to learn some things, right? We're going to have a experience here that hopefully we help people, right? Yeah. And I came here today with the intentionality, I'm going to learn, right? Well, I want people to come in my life. If you've already skinned your knees, you know what it's like, right? And if you haven't,
I skin them literally every day.
And so, I would say I'm not for everybody in person, but what I've done is I put my books out there for everybody. So for $20, you can have 40 years of my life for $20, right? Because it's like, this is like golden. I mean, I've organized it so nicely. So yes, I could be for everyone, but to personally come to my results center and sit down, you probably need to have already, like I said, skid your knees and got some success. Just for me, again, that's where I'm at in my life. And
okay. I'm going to throw something out there.
Go for it.
Crazy.
No problem.
And this could be very fun for everybody.
Let's have fun. Let's have fun. We love it.
This isn't planned.
I love that about you.
This isn't planned. So Tony's probably going to go, what the hell is
Let's go for it. Let's go for it.
All right, here's what I'm going to, because, there's so many people out there, they have dreams and goals and they want to get somewhere. I would like to document. I would like to do a search, a hunt. We're going to figure out this whole thing out. We're going to find somebody in this country that's going to get the best results from Tony Jeary. They're going to get part of a Tommy Habeeb production.
Okay.
And we're going to create a situation.
Let's do it.
We're going to find somebody.
Okay, let's figure it out. Let's do it.
Do that?
Let's make a challenge.
All right, we're going to do a challenge.
I love you, buddy. I love you. You're so creative.
In the country.
I met Alex earlier, right? I drove the Sprinter van down. He found a parking spot for us. We come out. Alex is like, Mr. You, Tommy Jr. And I'm like, your dad's creative genius. I'm like, yeah, this is creative, right?
It's creative.
Keep going. Let's build a challenge on the spot.
No, I think it could be a lot of fun. Would you be willing to do that?
I would. They can fly in and see me.
Yeah, no, so it'll be perfect. And we'll shoot this whole thing. We'll shoot while we're trying to find the person. We'll find them, right? We'll go on a multi-city interview tour around the country, and we're gonna be in search of the guy
who really wants results.
We're gonna help them build their company, help them build to be the #1 sales guy in the country, whatever that is.
For them,
right? Whatever that plateau is, we're gonna help them get there.
There is a friend of mine.
Has anybody ever done anything like that? Besides Shark Tank kind of does this weird
No, it's not quite like that. That's pretty cool. There's a friend of mine by the name of Jay Rogers.
Show, by the way.
Do you know Jay Rogers?
I don't.
So Jay Rogers started an organization called Biz Owners Ed. And he picks 12 people a year. And in January, he goes 10 straight weeks on Tuesdays for 4 hours. And he has 25 entrepreneurs pour into these 12 individuals. But they have to qualify. So like the challenge that you and I are talking about here, they have to be in, I think they have to do $1 million a year, and they have to really desire to do it. And they already have some traction, but they got to really want it. And then they interview, and then him and his team pick 12 people, and they pour into them for free.
Yeah.
For free. That's what we're talking about.
That's what we're talking about. We're going to give somebody, or maybe it's a couple of people, maybe there's a competition.
That's pretty
We
cool.
need to
Work out a
hash this
challenge
thing
here.
out, but I can make a broadcast show, and you can change somebody's life business.
I change lives
You
every
have a
day. God's
thinking.
blessed me so much, Tommy.
And so I think we could do something pretty freaking cool here.
Let's
right?
do it. Let's do it. I love it.
All right, so we're going to work on that. Start emailing me if you want. Email Tony. Go, hey, I want in, right? Whatever, but we're going to make this happen. We'll do a whole publicity tour with it. You're going to hopefully hear about it. We're just kind of spitballing here, so there's nothing.
That's cool.
set
Hey,
up
let's
around it.
switch subjects for a second. I'd like to know if you would mind critique me a little bit about the party. So 3 weeks ago, I got the celebration. My daughters are there. My daughters teamed up with my publishing team. My youngest daughter, Paige, did all the photography for the book. My oldest daughter did a lot of the branding. They teamed up with my publishing team, and we built the ultimate book. And I invited 125 of my friends, you included.
Yes.
And I said, hey, come connect and let's celebrate. What do you think of that?
I think that in perfect Tony fashion, it was a very cool event, and you had great food, great people, and so you had to understand it, right? When it wasn't a mixer to come do business, although it was a great place, there was all these amazing minds in one building. But this was kind of a celebration of this, as I believe
that's
is what
right.
it was.
30
But
years.
it was hard for me not to go, I'm meeting all these amazing people. I don't want to screw up this moment.
Well, you're
because
sitting
I
there right
wanna-
on the front row. I'm giving my speech up on the top.
Yeah, I want to celebrate what you've achieved, right, with you. And but it was so hard because there was so many powerful people there with great minds, and I was finding myself getting engaged in conversation and meeting these people and how you're affecting their lives, and so it was a fabulous event.
How about this? In the chat-
Especially when it confuses you because you're going, I got to give Tony his due, and I don't want to be.
When I
like-
walked to this place, I saw kind of the results center with Tommy's name all over. Okay, right? This is cool, right? People go, "Wow!" when they
Oh
walk in
yeah,
here.
yeah.
Maybe when we choose that person, we're going to pour into.
Yes.
Maybe we have a party here, and we celebrate your 40 years of creativity, and we show them kind of behind the scenes how to be really creative or something. I don't know. Just that might be interesting.
No. I think I think that
Maybe I
would
pick
definitely
50 of
be-
my coolest people. You pick 50 of your coolest people, and we have 100 people come here, and like we pour into this.
I'm
couple
always
or
up
individual.
for a really good party.
Well, I mean, I just think, people need to see your creative behind the scenes and kind of celebrate your 30, 40 years as well.
I probably should have done more in networks over the years. I can't tell you how many networks goes, listen, if you'll just film what's going on in your, behind the scenes of making all these shows and everything you're doing.
And you had a library of all that.
Oh my gosh.
But you still got a lot.
Yeah, no, we have tens of thousands of hours. No, don't get me wrong. But it would have been a pretty cool show, I think, really, in giving people the look, really what it takes to build a reality.
By the way, on
television
your
show
book,
or-
is the title released yet?
Not yet.
Okay.
Pretty much. It's fine. It's called The Celebrity Effect.
Beautiful name.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, we're real excited. And in the next 60 days, we're going to bring this thing out. And I'm gonna,
That's cool.
I'm gonna
Let me endorse
bend
it.
your ear
It
off.
hasn't gone to
Would you
print
please?
yet.
No.
Let
it's
me
about
endorse
to.
it, please.
Would you?
Absolutely. What a
my
great
God.
title.
No,
What a great
it's-
title.
It's very cool. And, so it was going to be just a book about how, the celebrity can change, right, a company, right, using a celebrity. But there's also some bad sides to that, which is pretty fascinating, right?
okay.
There can be downfalls. So you got to be careful who you hit your wagon to. But the celebrity effect's real. We see it every day. George Clooney just, knocked down $1 billion when he sold his tequila brand. And, my boy 50 Cent, walked off with, I think, $600 million from Vitamin Water. These massive deals, right, happen every day. And then
What a great title.
yeah, it's fun. What's ended up happening is I didn't realize over the years, how Dick Clark really gave me the secret sauce, to
Do
understand.
people understand that? Give 60 seconds for that, because they may not know your Dick Clark connection.
Yeah.
They may not even know who Dick Clark is.
A lot of
So
people-
give them
you're
30
under-
seconds of Dick Clark,
Yeah.
then give them your connection, then connect it to the book. Please?
Yes, of course. So if you're under 30 years old. A lot of people don't know who Dick Clark is. The only thing you'll know is every New Year's Eve, ABC does Dick Clark's Rocking New Year's Eve. Well, in the 50s, Dick Clark was on the radio in Philly, and then he ended up hosting a show called American Bandstand. It started out at kind of radio, and then it turned to television, and it was on for 30 some odd
And in your relationship with him?
So I was very lucky, but Dick happened to fall into a world in television called syndicated television. And if you don't know what that is, game shows are all syndicated television. Entertainment Tonight, all the talk shows, afternoon talk shows, that's called syndicated television. And what that means is the network doesn't own the show. It's a third party that then goes and there's 210 media markets, and you put it on separately. And like Entertainment Tonight in Dallas, Texas, it's on at 6:30 p.m. in Dallas on I think it's on Fox, but in L.A.
Might be a different time.
It's a different time, different station.
Okay.
So anyway, Dick was a king of that. He had a bunch of game shows.
But did he mentor you?
He did.
Back to my advice manners.
I don't know if he realized. Yes, no, I had some amazing mentors. I was a young actor, and I got to run around on the lots over at CBS and got to really, I was this kid, and they were all these older guys like Ed Asner from Luke.
Yeah.
Nobody will know him, but Mary Tyler Moore produced it, and Mary was amazing, but I didn't get to spend much time with Mary, but she was quite the businesswoman. And then on WKRP, I had guys like Howard Hessman, right? He was.
Did you put some of this in your book?
Yes. So all these interesting stories about
That's cool,
how
dude.
I learned from these guys. But Dick gave me the magic. He said, Tommy, use celebrity to drive products. He goes, that's what I do on American Bandstand. I go, right here, I'm selling, right, on the show. And he said, use the power of celebrity. Use the power of product integration into your shows. So when I split off from Dick, my first call was some of my professional athlete buddies, biggest ones in the world. I said, hey, I'm doing a show on basketball, like Spud Webb and, Magic Johnson and these guys. But Spud was, he's like one of my best friends. So whatever you want to do. And all these different athletes, they all wanted to be actors. So when I said I'm doing a show, and I want you to come do it, well, they all agreed. And I built sports television shows, right, with the biggest stars on the planet. I used the celebrity effect because I knew if I had them on the show, I could get it anywhere I wanted. And then I had every advertiser I could ever want because they, when you've got Magic Johnson, they're all signing off to do it.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Or the Spud Webbs. Or
who's going to do your forward?
So I don't have anybody yet.
Should I do it?
I would love for you to.
Well, I'm just thinking about this.
To say some things
like the results,
right? So
like that you are going to get by helping other people understand your story, and other people to understand what celebrity can do for them.
Truly, and Kathy Ireland's written some great stuff for me. You know Kathy.
I know of.
Right? Supermodel.
Yeah.
But people don't realize how they took
Dude,
Kathy
that's
Ireland's
so cool.
celebrity. She does $1 billion in business a year. Who knows that?
Wow.
Just by using her celebrity, right?
Wow.
She wrote some wonderful things for me too, but I want you to as well, because this is going to be very, very cool.
Oh my goodness!
But I'm going to send it over.
Maybe we should do this. Maybe I should do the forward, and maybe we should launch it on the top of the Results Center.
Why not?
So we're probably going to have a party in fall. When are you going to release it?
We're trying to figure out the exact dates right now. I'm putting together, some speaking events around it.
Cool.
Too, and
dude, that's cool.
No, I'm excited.
That's cool.
So,
Let's
wait,
consider that.
Wait, it wasn't about me. I have you in this chair.
Okay.
So I need to take full advantage of having, like,
well,
the
what we want to do is
results.
your viewers, your listeners, we want to impact them, right? We want to
do.
impact them. How do we share together how they can win by taking a few minutes of their life and listening to us, right?
No, that's true. That's true. And so you told young business guys or sales guys or whatever business you're in.
I tell everybody
these 3
get
points.
more clear on what you want, focus your efforts, and execute.
And that's
like nobody can argue with that, right?
No.
Like if you want to be a better parent, you want to be a better spouse, you want to be a better employee, you want to be a better entrepreneur, like clearly what do you want? So many people don't design their life. They do not get clear on what they want, right? And they go through life and they're doing a job or a career versus vocation. Like you live your vocation. Every day you love what you're doing.
Yeah.
right? A lot of people don't because they aren't really clear on what they love,
See, that is so important.
Right.
Above all, clarity.
period. Everything.
Let me ask you a question, because this is always, I wondered, because I've never really worked for anybody else. I've always been my own guy, but I always said that, should I have gone into corporate America? And I watch these guys, and I've had a bunch of big-time billion-dollar CEOs sitting in that chair. And over the years, I've just had friends, so many people, and I go, God, I would have liked to have done that. But let me ask you, when the guy, the head of Walmart, what are the kind of challenges does this guy have compared to
Well, like
the
at the time
guy
I was
that's
coaching
just-
Mike Duke, a wonderful man. Mike took over for Lee Scott, became eventually the chairman.
Yeah.
And, imagine at the time he had 2.1 million people working for him.
Oh my
He had
God.
15 layers of people. Imagine that. At the time, I think Walmart had 4,400 stores.
So their
in the US.
issues are different.
Well, every time you do something, you're affecting, if you think about 2 million and how many adults at the time, there was 200 million adults. So is that one out of every 100 person in America worked for Walmart?
Oh my gosh.
Worked underneath your watch as the top CEO. Think about that kind of responsibility. It's a lot.
That's a lot of
At the time, I was coaching Linda Dillman, who was the president of the, she was the CIO and the president of all their, electronics and IT. And she was second only to the Pentagon. She had 3,000 people working underneath her in IT.
Oh my
Like they could
God.
tell you, like if you bought something in a basket on Thursday at 4 o'clock, what all was going to be in there. And they were going to tell you your basket ring is going to be $52.84. And they're going to tell you that. And just unbelievable. And you've got all this going on, and then you got Walmart.com and you got all the other countries. And they bought Seiyu. They sent me over to Japan to coach Kichi-san, who was the president over there. They had 40
Wow.
stores. They bought that, pulled it in the fold. So you think about it. But now let's back to your question
a
here
lot of
on the
pressure.
entrepreneur versus CEO. So here's what I think. A lot of people that are listening, depending on your age, really doesn't matter the age, you're always thinking this, should I go the CEO corporate route?
Well, when you're coming out of college, you've got to make some decisions, or high school too,
Right?
whatever.
Do I want entrepreneur or do I want corporate? And a lot of corporate people want to have the entrepreneur chip in their world. You think about it. A lot of people that finish at the CEO level after 30 years, they go into consulting because they always want to be an entrepreneur.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, and so I see it all the time. And so what I suggest,
And vice versa.
and vice versa. That's my point. So again, my encouragement to everybody is clarity, really, Tommy, clarity of what you want. Like I wrote a book called Designing Your Own Life, which is my goal setting book, and I've been preaching it for 30 years. And I teach people to get really clear on your values. What do you value? Then clearly build your goals around your values. Then focus on what the actions are, your high leverage activities or your force multipliers to get what you want, and you execute every day. A lot of people never think about what they value. If you value health, then every day you need to be thinking about what you eat and how you sleep and
Yeah.
the supplements you take and the people you hang around and what's in your refrigerator, right? If
No,
you
truly,
if you care about your family, one of the goals I had was to become the president of my kids' fan club. Like that's not a commissioned title, that's an earned title.
That's an earned time.
Right? So that was clear. So that meant I stunted my career, shut down my offices around the world to pour into my kids.
And I see your daughters, how they
Oh
turned
my
out, and how
gosh.
much they love you.
Trained for the Olympics. They wrote a book when they were 8 years old, each one of them. Just unbelievable. Pouring into people, mission trips around the world. They're unbelievable. How about this one? When they were 6 years old, Tommy, my wife and I sat down with them and we started writing down the qualities of the men they were going to marry.
Wow.
At 6. And they ended up 15, or when they were 15 or so, started dating those men. And if those men didn't have those qualities, they didn't get a second or third date.
That's
Now,
wild.
that's clarity, right?
That's clarity.
Having the same coach for 38 years, that's clarity, right? Having the results center, clarity. What I love doing is helping winners win more every day. And I encourage people to live in your vocation, whether, back to your point, whether it's entrepreneurship or it's corporate, And inside each one of those, like entrepreneurs, you got about 4 basic choices. You can be a sole proprietor, you can be a partner, you can be, you have a franchise, or you can go network marketing. It's basically one of those 4.
Yeah, I
Right?
didn't
And if
think
you go
about it, but that's
corporate,
right.
you can either go public, private, government, or nonprofit. And you can go slice it every way you want. Maybe there's one more now with the influencer on the personal side, so maybe there's 9, but you basically have those 9 choices. Slice it, dice it however you want.
I mean, just understanding that that's it,
Think about this.
It's
Your
pretty
son's
simplifies
Alex.
it.
He's 21, 22.
I've got a 19, 21, and 32.
How about this one for a great one? How many parents do strategic internships for their kids?
You know, it's become a thing.
So I had a guy come to me and he says, my daughter wants to work for you. Calls me up a couple of months ago. He says, can I meet you Saturday at the Results Center? And I started coaching a guy when he's 23. He's 53 now, makes millions. He says, I'm going to pay for my daughter to work for you. She's amazing. Number one in golfing. She's like marketing degree, unbelievable. And I'm like, you are so smart, because at 20, 21, 22, if you pour into your kids and give them exposure, then the chances are they're going to live in their vocation a lot more years than if you didn't give them that. Doesn't mean you have to pay for them to work somewhere, but guiding them, a lot of people don't have that clarity.
No,
what you can do with your connections, especially you, but everybody knows people. Are you guiding how about this one? I had my kids do internships sometimes for 2 weeks, not the whole summer. Like a lot of people don't even think about, I could do a 2-week shadow.
Things. Yeah.
2 weeks here, 2 weeks here, a month here. And then you give them that exposure when they're 18, 20, 22, right?
It's priceless.
Priceless.
Yeah.
Because they get to go into their vocation a lot sooner.
I'm going to reflect back on one quick thing, because we're running out of time. But it was so important, because what you said about your kids, you just kind of brushed it by and through it. But you said they went on mission trips, and you taught them the importance of humanity.
I did.
And taking care of.
Well, my wife, she gets a lot of credit.
Yeah.
I picked a good wife.
That's so important. Me too.
It is important.
And so one of the things that I found was so important to my kids as they were growing up, they were out, helping rescue dogs, right? They were taking and helping transport.
Following your model.
Around. In watching them understanding the importance of humanity was so big. And I see in your children now it's reflected. And so
help people.
If you got kids out there, it's so important to learn.
Pour into them.
To give something, because when you do, you get just so much more reward out of it.
And how about this one? You're modeling every day. Your kids are watching you. We all know that.
They are.
So whether you're a parent or a grandparent, they're watching you, right? Here's something we didn't talk about yet, but did you know I invested in Dogtopia? Remember we talked about that?
Yes.
So we're one of the fastest growing franchises in the world.
See, that's fantastic.
And 9 years ago, I invested in it. And like we're opening up a new store like every 2 weeks, right?
Yeah.
And it's like we're a 5-star hotel for dogs. We had no idea how much people love their dogs. I mean,
they do.
Dogs are important. They really have an impact on people's lives, right?
Yes.
I have a grand dog.
And so I'm going to call on you for Dogtopia. If we need a doggy daycare for the day for some of these people that can't afford it, it's going to become a part of the mission, right?
That'd be cool. Good idea.
We already
You're always thinking.
Yeah.
Just like your son said.
We got to take care of
Mr. Creative. Things. That needs to be you need to put that underneath your moniker on
Mr.
your book.
Creative. That's
right? It's Mr. Creative.
You're Mr. Results. I don't think anybody can compare with that. But I appreciate it. It means so much. And I always do talk a little bit about puppy dogs at the very end and these things, because I think it's important. And we brought Dogtopia. So is it a public company? Can people invest in it?
No, we are private.
Private company?
I know.
But they can do franchises?
We do franchises.
Oh, good.
And you can make a lot of money.
Huh?
And you can make a lot of money. If you love dogs,
it's a great business.
They want to make money, right?
God. Yeah.
That's what we love, dog lovers.
It's pretty rewarding to be in that. So
it's so fun to see people's face when you call their dog by name and just see them brighten up when they walk into our stores. It's pretty cool.
Oh, yeah. It's amazing.
Yep.
You tell me about your pup that you lost.
It was sad. It was so sad. Come in to find her, after 14 years. Yeah,
what kind of pup was she?
Scotty.
Scotty.
Yeah, and buried in our backyard. We had a big estate at the time. And now we have the gravestone actually in our home.
Is that right?
All carved out with her picture, when you have a kid and your kid grows up with that same dog, you live and breathe it, right?
No.
You just, right?
It's important that you tell your story, because I know how these animals affected us and affect our lives, and what kind of difference
the joy that my kids had with that puppy in our home.
It means so much. And so you guys out there, don't take advantage of your pup. I know you don't. I know you want to give them the best of everything, but sometimes, you think they're annoying, but they're not. They just want to be there. They want to give you as much love as they can.
That's right.
Because they do love you unconditionally. And as we talked about earlier, it doesn't matter your economic structure, if you live in a trailer park, you live on the street, or you live in a $50 million mansion. that pup doesn't know the difference.
When I pulled in that stairs, you kind of got your own Sprinter that's like,
Yeah.
what do you got down there?
My dog van.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. You're like, come on over. I'm like, cool.
Well, it's very cool because we do transports and we do a big feeding the shelters with, Fresh Pet has been a wonderful partner. Fresh Pet dog food, it's the refrigerated dog food, but it's really, really good for the animals. And so they've been amazing partners, and they give me tens of thousands of pounds of dog food to take to shelters. And these dogs that are suffering the most, this is the food that they need, and it's so good for them. And anyway, I love it. It's a big passion of mine. I hope you guys got a lot out of today. I hope you took notes, because there's nobody better than Tony Jeary when it comes to consulting and mentoring, and we're going to do something fun together. We are.
That's a great challenge, right? We need to find the right person that wants to have your creative and my push on clarity, focus, and execution, and help them.
We're going to build a company, and we're going to put it on TV, so they'll be nothing but successful.
That's cool, man.
I love you.
Good to see you, everybody. Good to see you, man.
So good.
Thanks for everything.